if your company is running on like Microsoft Office 365 and you're considering a move to Google Workspace, maybe
Yep.
you are an executive that's just come in and you're interested in implementing how you might have run your prior company at the new company you've just started, but everyone's on Microsoft. You hire a firm like ours, we come in, we'll take your whole company over to Google.
Hey guys, and welcome to the Grow IT podcast. One of your hosts here, Trey King. And today we are very excited to have our guest, Mr. Miles Hischier from Highview Solutions. And today we'll be diving a bit into his story, and things like what his company does, as well as some engaging insights into the technology industry. So make sure you stick around for this one. But without further ado, Miles, welcome to the Grow IT podcast.
Treg, I'm glad you're excited to have me, man. I hope I don't disappoint. But yeah, I look forward to talking with you today and sharing my story. I think parts of it are fun and entertaining and exciting, but I don't know. We'll see if everyone else agrees. So I look forward to getting
That's
in.
lovely. Having said that, Miles, if you don't mind, just to quickly introduce yourself and just maybe a snippet, of your story, please.
Great, thank you. Yeah, so just by way of introduction, I'm Miles Hischier. I live in San Luis Obispo, California, with my family, and just a bit about my background. I have always grown up in like a world surrounded by small business owners. As a young kid, my dad ran a retail store. My best friend's dad ran a restaurant. My other friend's dad ran an automotive shop. So after university, I went to work in San Francisco and started working for a company called Square, which sells products like great business products, known as for their iconic credit card reader, to small businesses. So I learned how to sell to small
Wow.
businesses. I came from this background of small businesses. So after
Yeah.
5 years there, I decided to start my own small business. So I moved to San Luis Obispo, California, a smaller town, and launched Highview Solutions. Initially, I didn't know what type of service I wanted to provide to a small business, but I had a background in technology and I like IT. And I was lucky enough to find the Google Cloud Partner Program, which at the time, Google sales teams needed IT companies to help these legions of small businesses migrate from old legacy email servers over to Google Apps for Business, now called Google Workspace. So that was our business.
Oh
We
wow.
started in 2016. Started growing. We have always been very great at aligning ourselves with Google Cloud sales teams. And yeah, my special sauce has always been like I kind of understand small businesses. I know the challenges that they're going through, and how to talk to them and make complicated IT stuff like data migration make sense in layman's terms. So yeah, so then fast forward, a few years, we now have a team of almost 20, and I'm excited to tell you about our international team that we've grown down in Central America. But before I'll do that, I'll just give you some more highlights. And we have about 550 companies that we support across North America, and yeah, and a staff of about 20, and we continue to grow. So,
Excellent. That sounds great, man. But tell me, what was it? What was it about, like specifically this industry? Like you said, in the beginning, you were thinking about, what direction to go to obviously grow your business. But what is it like specifically about this industry that you're so passionate about it?
yeah. So I love like helping small businesses get back to basics and do a really good job at the fundamentals. And
Yeah.
I found when leaving San Francisco and I started talking about to other small business owners about what they needed, and it was always the basics. It's they struggled with, they weren't getting emails, or they were sending emails from the wrong addresses, or they couldn't keep documents organized. And so one of the things I loved about getting involved with the Google Cloud ecosystem and selling like Google Apps for Business was you're really installing like a foundational layer of technology for a small business. And for many businesses, that's all they need. If you take like like a retail store. They might have a few other pieces in their IT stack, but their communication and collaboration suite, being able to like organize stuff via calendar, send and receive emails, store and share documents. It's so foundational. And a lot of companies I
Yeah.
found just were totally missing the mark. So that's what I loved about it. It kind of helped the businesses get started on a solid footing. So, yeah.
Excellent. Tell me, Miles, based on your expertise, right? What would you say are the current market trends that you are aware of these days? Given the industry that we're in, what way is the wind blowing? What have you been noticing?
Yes. Okay. So a couple things. One, I think businesses over the last 3 or 4 years have gotten into subscription fatigue, and I feel like
Yeah.
this has happened a lot on the consumer side. But I think a lot of small businesses are tired of paying for this myriad of software that they've purchased over the past 3 or 4 years. When I started, a lot of companies didn't have a lot of like good technology in place. Now I feel like businesses have too many disparate tools, and so a trend I'm starting to see, especially, people talk about the economy doing so well, but for many of our small business clients, they're just kind of barely getting by. And I
Mm,
find a trend is business owners are trying to do more with less. And so if they can consolidate to one platform, so we oftentimes will help companies get rid of Zoom, get rid of other file sharing software solutions like Dropbox, and consolidate everything to one solution, and we help them do that with Google Cloud. So that's one trend. The other trend is this whole age of AI tools that companies are buying. So that's actually part of that, where companies are trying out all these different subscriptions for
AI is
AI
the
tools.
buzzword, right?
Yeah, and it's too many, but like a lot of small businesses are paying for all these different subscriptions. Google has their own version called Gemini, and that has been like a huge focus of the Google Cloud product and sales teams.
Yeah.
And Google's investing a lot. It's not really landing very well yet with like a small business audience. Like a lot of them haven't really figured out how to use those products
Mm,
very effectively. Um, Individuals that are more like knowledge workers and are in front of computers all day, it's great. Like Chat GPT and Gemini could help you write anything you want. But if you're a construction like business owner, or again running a
yeah.
retail store, or like a doctor or a dentist, like those products haven't really become interwoven yet into like the fabric of how they operate. So that's kind of the two trends I'm seeing, is like the consolidation and concerns around costs and trying to move to one platform, and then this kind of this early stage of this like age of AI that yeah, you know well. So.
Yeah. No, of course. Tell me, and then from what would you say is the current market sentiment like at the moment?
Yeah, I think cautious optimism is how I would explain it.
That's a good explanation, man. I agree
Yeah,
with you.
man.
Well said.
So,
Well said.
yeah, I think for our customers, again, when I say small business, I think companies that have under like 100 employees. That's kind of our segment,
Yeah.
and we have many companies that are larger than that, but a good portion are under that size. And I would say many of those owners are excited about the next, several years, but they're very cautious. A lot of them yeah, like have not been hiring as aggressively as they were during the COVID years, because we see that closely managing like licenses for Google Apps for Business. We see how many contractors and employees our companies are adding, and I could tell you across all of our customer base, many of our small business customers are not growing, and they're not planning to grow a ton in 2025. So I think they're excited about and optimistic about the future, but cautious, and think it might be more like 2023, 2024, which has sort of been more like stable survival and yeah, plateau versus like big growth
Yeah.
years.
I agree. Uh, the if you don't mind, just to explain and elaborate a bit more. Obviously, you've touched on what it is that your company does, but if you don't mind, just to elaborate just a bit more for the listeners out there, that they can just fully understand what is it that you guys do.
Yes, yes. So if your company is running on like Microsoft Office 365 and you're considering a move to Google Workspace, maybe
Yep.
you are an executive that's just come in and you're interested in implementing how you might have run your prior company at the new company you've just started, but everyone's on Microsoft. You hire a firm like ours, we come in, we'll take your whole company over to Google. So that's not only just migrating data, but we'll also train all your staff and get everyone over to that new platform. In today's world, everyone's either on Microsoft 365 or Google Apps,
Or
and
Google
they're
Apps.
very different ways of working. A lot of similarities, but quite different. And so we help with that move, and then we're sort of like a car dealership for Google. We sell, actually we have a license to sell you Google products, and then we wrap our own like services around that. So ongoing support services, account management, anything that your company would need to ensure that you can like get the most you can out of your workspace investment. So that's what we do.
Like,
One thing I want to highlight too, another thing that we do,
yeah.
and this goes back to our team. So we started hiring in Central America back in 2016, 2017, and we found
Yeah.
some incredible international contractors for our small business, lower cost than U.S. equivalents, and just had an incredible depth of a skill set and fluent in English, great internet connections. So something else we're starting to do as well is helping other small businesses make hires internationally, because we just have such a great talent pool and so many connections,
Yeah, that's
specifically,
great.
yeah, specifically in El Salvador, which is where we've recruited most of our staff from. But there's a massive call center industry in Central America, and so we've been lining up a lot of small business customers that need to expand operations, but sort of
Yeah.
don't have that budget yet for a full time hire. And we've been able
Yeah.
to, yeah, get many people at this point hired at different companies in like remote U.S. jobs, but they're based in El Salvador. So.
Well, if I could take a guess, I don't think that you thought that the business will grow this extra arm and leg when you started out, right? Of providing these opportunities for obviously for people abroad as well. That's great. You mentioned obviously not. I understand from a Google and a Microsoft perspective. Um, what I want to mention is that I know a lot of companies that say that, hey, no, you know what, we can do this ourselves. We can do the migration ourselves, and then they do, and then half of the departments of then they screw up on this side, and the other half are not finished as yet. If you don't mind, just to provide from a value based of a company, a business getting a company into the likes of yourself, what is that value that's been provided when you guys come on board?
Yeah, totally. So I think the first point I'll mention is these systems are like business critical applications. I mean, like for many companies, if you're
Yeah.
thinking about the order of importance, like the PG&E office bill is below the bill for your productivity software. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it doesn't matter if your office lights go off; everyone could go home and just work from home. But if you don't pay your bill for like your Google or Microsoft service, your company grinds to a halt. So I use that just to like set context that when people think about transitioning these systems, they oftentimes think like, oh, we'll just like migrate and have someone internally do it. But when they start getting into the nuts and bolts and something goes wrong and it brings their business to a halt, they realize, oh my gosh, this is like a foundational infrastructure that we should not like mess around with. So unless someone has internally a background like running migration projects and doing these
Yeah.
for like a
Very.
migration company, it's just not worth the risk. Like even if you can learn the steps of doing it, there's so many like nuances and like mistakes that can be made that really just cost your team time. So I think the main value that we provide is reassurance,
Yeah.
expertise, and confidence that like the project will go smooth without any interruption. So I think many times we get contacted by IT managers that have a background in migration, and they'll say like, "Hey, I used to work at
Hey.
a migration company. I'm hiring you guys because I don't want to be accountable when like
Yes.
like
Don't want to
when
take that
something goes
risk
wrong
upon
on
them.
my watch." Yeah, yeah. So and we've done so many hundreds of migrations. We have pretty foolproof methodology. So that's probably the
That's
main
awesome.
reason why like companies end up paying us and hiring us and then buying Google licenses from us over time. So, and then that sets the stage for the beginning of a relationship, which ties into what I'm talking about. Many time customers will come back and say, "Hey, Miles, we have 400 employees now. I need to grow my IT team. I need people that are really good with like Google Workspace administration." And I'll
Mm.
tell them, "No problem. I got a couple folks in Honduras or El Salvador that are experts. They're certified admins for $1,900 a month. Do you want to hire
Yeah.
them as international contractors?" And that becomes like a no-brainer.
Excellent. That's good value, man. Jeez. That's really good value you guys provide. The I actually wanted to get your opinion. You mentioned earlier that you come from a family that is obviously entrepreneurs, right? Starting their own businesses, got their own businesses, and obviously yourself as well. In your opinion, like what type of mindset would you say is needed to be a successful founder of a business?
Yeah, I'm a big believer in just making progress and like small steps forward. I feel like there's a trap in some of the like what you see in the news in regards of entrepreneurship or like the startup venture capital like flavor
Yeah.
of entrepreneurship where you have to make big leaps and it's all about these big bets and bold moves and huge step function growth. I actually don't believe that. I think the heart of America was built on the back of small business owners that just showed up to work every day and like opened up their
Well said.
retail store or went and dug holes. And I think like that fundamental idea of just like 1% better every day and just like showing up to work, putting in the time, trying your best, treating people well. I
Mm.
think those values are actually cannot be emphasized enough. And so I think that mindset of just having like a vision and just showing up every day and working towards that vision is probably what I find to be most important. And thinking about like and working on your business. I think too many people that I talk to and will advise are focused on raising money for an idea. But really
Yeah.
they should just be focused on building their business. And if you need to raise money to do that, that's fine. But I think it's easy to lose sight and become focused on the wrong things. So yeah, I think that attitude of just like incremental improvement and showing up every day. Like what Woody Allen said, 80% of success is just showing up. I'm a big believer in that. So.
And then do you perhaps maybe have one or two golden nuggets, some pointers for the guys that's wanting to enter this industry, of a couple of things that you've learned along the way. Is there maybe one or two that you can provide us with?
Yeah. So specifically in regards to like IT more broadly, anyone who's getting started, I think one gold nugget I would suggest is um, treat your competitors like and like get to know them like your friends. And I think sometimes I could probably summarize that better, but basically the concept is like and you if everyone has competition and you
Yeah.
can treat them as like this other that you never talk to and they're on the other side and like we're against them but
Mm.
really like we're all just building families and businesses and trying to make money. So like I talk to all of our competitors routinely because sometimes they're too busy and they have too much work and we'll carry some of that overload or sometimes we'll have too much work and we'll throw deals to them and building like relationships in your industry with your competitors I think is like amazing. So the first thing I would say as a golden nugget is get to know your competitors, see if you could subcontract for them as you get started and
Yeah.
just put the mindset in that like we're all here, the pie is plenty big, we're all just trying to get slices of it. And that abundance mentality I think would take people very, very far. And then the second golden nugget in IT sales, I think specifically, is a huge focus on like referrals. And it kind of ties into that first comment. I think instead of spending so much time doing outbound sales and marketing, I think if you're just getting started, just find people that sell to other parts of the IT stack and get to know them and build trust with them and see if they can refer you. I mean, for instance, we have a ton of companies that are looking for cloud infrastructure services, and they're running huge stuff on AWS.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're on Azure. We have contacts where we send those people to those firms because we've gotten to know those owners
Yeah.
or those consultants. And so having like that referral network and then getting to know your competition and maybe subcontracting for them would be my golden nuggets of getting started in IT. Yeah.
Those are very interesting points you're raising there. Well, I can tell you there's a lot of people listening to this thinking to themselves, all right, so Miles said we need to make friends with the enemy. That's what. Yeah, man, I get you. I get you. Well, tell me, Miles. So we can, if if people want to get hold of you guys, where can they do that? Emails or channels, and where would that be?
Yeah, yeah. So, as far as like getting a hold of us, our website, highviewsolutions.com, we could provide links to it. We also have like a YouTube channel as well. But I would say like through our website and YouTube are probably the best ways to follow us. Yeah,
Excellent. All right, but Miles, thank you so much for coming on. This was fun. I mean, I can fully understand, especially on those value points that you mentioned. I now understand why you guys are doing so well, and may it be exponential growth for you in the business, and all the best.
great. Treg, thanks so much, man.
All the best. Take care. Bye now.
Bye.